Good morning. We're back. Sorry, it's been a little iffy on my end of being in and out with the Tailgate Kings podcast, but hopefully we'll be back on track of being on here every single Sunday. And then, of course, once the season starts, we'll go into 2-hour episodes instead of 1-hour episode because, we get to do all the cool shit. Anyways,
wait for that.
This comes brought to you by all of our sponsors: Paul Crosby Management, Evil Expo, Villain Arts Tattoo Expo, and Deadly Grounds Coffee. Yeah, Hellfire's getting their own coffee, and on that, I'm going to run a quick little commercial, and then we will be back right in to talk about the NFL.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
And we will be getting our own coffee here at Hellfire. So be looking out for the Hellfire coffee and also Scoops of Mischief coffee that'll be coming out. Anyways.
That'll be amazing to have on our shows. I can't wait to taste it.
Right. So the first thing I obviously want to talk about is the Aaron Rodgers situation that's like fucking being dragged out like a goddamn cat on fire. Fucking. So a few weeks ago, we heard he's going to the Broncos. It's done deal. He's going to the Broncos. Well, he hasn't. Really? I mean, do you think he's even going anywhere?
It's hard to say because there's been so many reports of, the owner wants him there. Everybody's saying, no, you're going to be our quarterback, blah, blah, blah. And then he wants a fire sale. No, get rid of the general manager, get rid of this, and I'll stay. So really, it's crybaby. Aaron Rodgers will get wanting what he wants. And the team's basically saying, no, you're either going to be our quarterback or you're not. Fine. We got somebody to fill your spot. This is the whole idea that happened before. Brett Favre. Hey, I want to still play. I want to retire. Okay, I want to play. I want to retire. Hey, I'm coming back. And they're like, hey, we've already told this kid he's got a shot. So right now they're talking to Jordan Love and like, this potentially might be your start, man. So step up and get ready because Aaron Rodgers might pull a hissy fit and go, you know what? Fuck it. I'm retiring. Okay. Yeah. So fine. We don't have to pay you. We don't have to do this. Cool. See ya.
Yeah.
Let's see who holds out the longest. Last time something like this happened was the Bengals with Carson Palmer. And then finally they went in. They traded Carson Palmer to the Cardinals.
You know what? Here's my thing. So you got a quarterback that's unhappy. Okay. Granted, yep, got that down. If he's that goddamn unhappy, let him go. Get rid of him while you can get something out of it. Because if he's that unhappy, do you really think he's going to go out on that field and play for you? I mean, honestly, if he's that fucking pissed off, no, he ain't going to give a shit about you. He's getting paid anyway, so he's just going to go out there and perform at half-ass, if that, and finish out his fucking contract. If he's only got a year or two left, what's it fucking matter? He's just going to fucking suck ass. And if he sucks ass for a year, his equity's going to go down and nobody's going to fucking want him.
Exactly. And then people will look and go, okay, well, you slacked off for your last couple of years. Are you going to do that when you come play for us? Who are we going to get when we go ahead and sign you?
Right.
And I don't think
he just won the NFL MVP.
Right.
Fucking let him go. Sell it. Get what you can out of him. He's that pissed off. Let him go.
Yep.
You drafted Jordan Love for a reason. Let Aaron Rodgers go, just like we did. You think we fucking killed to keep Tom Brady? No, we let him go. We gave him an offer. He turned it down. It is what it is. Sometimes you just got to count your losses. Now, with us, Tom Brady's contract was up. Like, it was over, you know. But in this case, you could trade the NFL MVP of last year, who ended on a huge high note. Granted, they didn't go to the Super Bowl, but still the NFL MVP. Let him go. Get something good for him. I guarantee if you traded him to fucking the Broncos or the Raiders, you'd get something real good out of it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which is where he was saying he wanted to go. He either wanted to be in Denver or he wanted to go to Vegas. I really would have liked to have seen him in Vegas. That's just me.
That'd be cool.
I think that would have been quite interesting to see Aaron Rodgers in Vegas. Still could happen, maybe. You never know if they pull their head out of their ass and just let him go, because we all know he's if he's that pissed off, he's not going to play.
So that's going to be first round picks. They might be trading quarterbacks, and then
I don't think it would be first round. I don't think anyone's going to give up a first round for him.
I don't know. I mean, you still have the league MVP. He still has a lot left in him. So there's a good chance, even though he's a prima donna right now, he still is a first round pick choice. Come on. You've got a Super Bowl winning quarterback that just won MVP. You can bring him to your team today. You know you're going to throw that first rounder out there. You know it.
I don't know. I don't know if I would. It depends on, number one, I'd have to look at what's the status of my team. Do I need a quarterback that bad? Secondly, what's the draft going to be like for quarterbacks in the next 2-3 years?
Next year sucks. So
well, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, you're going to look at you want to look at your forecast before you go doing something like that, because a first round pick, that's major. Like that, they can make or break you.
Well, he can make it break you to pick the wrong first round pick. I mean, hell, look at
That's
again.
true, too.
So many teams do that mistake, and it sucks.
Yeah, we did it for years.
Yeah, so have we.
We haven't had good draft picks in a long time. So, and so I'm pretty excited about our draft picks this last year, but still, that's left to be seen, though. So I say get rid of Aaron Rodgers. I would take give me 2 or 3 draft picks and let him roll. Hell, I'd even send him out for a second, third, and fourth round.
Give up 3 rounds right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have huge potential too. Normally, people will pick up second rounders that could be potential first rounders as well. So,
well, I mean, it depends on the position, because in most days, the first round, you always seen your top running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks. Well, now that's completely changed.
Yeah,
because like this last draft, you seen shit ton. There was like fucking 6 cornerbacks that went out in the first round.
Oh yeah,
bunch of defensive players went out first round this year, which I was just like, the fuck? What is going on? I was kind of blown, because there was still first round talent that went in the second and third rounds.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing is you had offensive linemen, defensive linemen. You had cornerbacks. You had a bunch of different things, and only like 1 or 2 running backs that actually went in the first round, which is very unheard of. It used to be like top 5 was running backs and all this. Now the NFL's changed tremendously because the stock on running backs don't last as long, so they don't draft as high anymore. So you had quarterbacks, wide receivers, you had, defensive players. It was a huge shit show because it's not one of the standard runs anymore, and nobody knew what was going on. Everybody's projections were shot to crap because of how everything played out, and it's a huge crapshoot. And morning, everybody in the comments. Sorry, we haven't got to you yet.
Yeah, it's we'll have to see. But my final thoughts on this segment: let Aaron Rodgers go. Mm-hmm. Get you a couple of fucking draft picks. Get you some draft capital. let him go. You already got your future quarterback that you drafted last year. Get you some draft capital and cut your losses. That's my final on that one.
Plus, I'd like to see them have a rookie quarterback play finally. And I would love for our defense just to eat them alive. And we'd be, the leading the league. That would be great.
Of course you would. But I don't think y'all are going to do shit with the Red Rocket leading your team.
But we don't know how long he's going to be in there. They're still saying that he's going to be, the day one starter. But how long are we going to keep him in before we put Justin Fields in? That's the point.
I hope you put Justin Fields in right off the bat.
I would love that.
To be honest, I really do. So moving into a little bit more quarterback drama in this little segment is the Russell Wilson story. Looks like it has ended. You know what? I would have liked to have seen him at another team. I know Chicago and Dallas were the two hot spots. And then as soon as you seen Dallas, give that huge extension to help me out here, fucking Prescott, yeah, Dak Prescott, you knew that wasn't happening. So at that point, it's like literally Chicago's got these big fucking circus lights that are lighting up around the fucking logo. Like, oh, this is it. He's going to fucking Chicago. Chicago's gonna be fucking playoff bound big time now. And then it just kind of it almost died overnight. Like it amped up. Everything was going. Twitter was on fire. Everything was on fire. Russell Wilson's going to Chicago. And it was never heard another thing.
Well, the thing is, Seattle just finally pulled the plug. I mean, the Bears actually were giving out, the offer for Khalil Mack for Patterson. So you get a star wide receiver, star, defensive lineman. Mm-hmm. And they were giving a couple first round picks and a couple other choices. Like they were doing everything in their power to bring in a proven quarterback because that's what we need. That is our final piece. Would it suck to get rid of Khalil Mack? Absolutely. And Patterson, yeah, it would suck to get rid of him too, but to actually have a starter.
We had Patterson for a while too, and Patterson, he's a really good special teams guy, right. But that's really it. Like it wouldn't have been that big of a loss. Now Khalil Mack would have been a huge loss.
Oh yeah.
That I don't know if I could have fucking ate that. I don't know. That's a hard one. That's a hard one for me to swallow. Is getting rid of Khalil Mack for Russell Wilson.
Again, that's what they thought was going to be the final piece to get them to where they need to be. They're tired of having a phenomenal defense and just lacking on offense to bring us the final pieces.
Right.
So they were ready to do whatever they could just to get that.
All right. Now, do you think Chicago's boiled down to a bad quarterback or is it bad coaching?
Mixture of both.
Yeah, because the coaching was hit and miss because you watched that Chicago team beat the Buccaneers in the season.
Oh, I was so excited.
You beat the Super Bowl champions.
Oh, and we destroyed them. It was great.
Well, no, it was close 2019.
Our defense was picking him off, though. I mean,
but yeah. I mean,
and I'll say that part.
It was worse than what the score led to.
Oh yeah,
but you did beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So if you can beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, why the fuck are you not playing to a higher caliber throughout the rest of the season?
Again, quarterback play and coaching. There was numerous times where I thought, hey, we should go for it. But the problem is the quarterback that we had out on the field was not the proper guy. Our backup, he's good, but the problem is he couldn't stay in the pocket long enough to actually make something work because our offensive line was crap. So you can't trust the quarterback that we have. Oh, cool, he's a mobile quarterback. Yeah, that couldn't make the proper decisions. So that was the final thing. Again, defense we had was strong. I'll bring up the Tampa Bay game. I mean, there was numerous times we tackled, sacked Tom Brady, and he looked over And I love the one play because Khalil Mack actually grabbed an offensive lineman, grabbed him with one arm, body slammed him to the ground right in front of Tom Brady, and Brady's face was priceless. Like, what the fuck? Like, this dude's been eating me alive all night, and he just took an offensive lineman with one arm and put him to the ground. That was phenomenal. So that's why I'll say, we ate the shit out of Tampa Bay. Yes, it was a close game, but that defense, they were just prepared to destroy. And Tom Brady felt it.
Yeah, so I think the Russell Wilson story is over. I think he's staying in Seattle. You know, I know that kills 49ers fans. They were looking so forward to seeing him fucking leave their division. But no, you guys are still stuck with Russell Wilson and Seattle. So next hot topic is Julio Jones. Where is he going? Is he going? As of this morning, it looks like the Patriots are in talks of bringing Julio Jones to New England. Me personally, I hope to hell that it happens, because that's a deep threat is the very, very last piece to fixing our team. You know, we've got Mac Jones, who hopefully is going to be as good as what everybody says he is. You know, he won the national championship last year in Alabama. So, you know, he's been behind Tua and Jalen Hurts and some amazing other quarterbacks. So, you know, we'll see what he brings to New England. But the two I keep seeing is Arizona and New England. I don't think
49ers.
49ers don't have the cap space. Ain't no way. I mean, they just literally fucking dropped a wide receiver this morning and hired a new one. Right. They fucking picked up Benny Fowler. They released Marquise Lee after signing him a week ago or less, and just picked up Benny Fowler. But they don't have the cap space. Arizona doesn't have the cap space either. Although DeAndre Hopkins, the rumor has it, is he said he would restructure his brand new contract to bring Julio, but even at restructuring, I don't think they're going to have the cap space to take on Julio Jones. There's very few teams that have the cap space to do it. And one of the main ones that have the room to do it and do it comfortably is New England.
Oh, yes.
If he gets moved, if he gets traded, I'm pretty much about 97% sure it's going to be New England. And plus, he's already saying all over Twitter that he wants to play with Cam Newton. So let's see if it actually happens.
That's going to be short-lived.
Yeah, I believe that's going to be short-lived, because like we were talking about earlier before we even started, I honestly think Mac Jones, by at least week 5 is probably going to be your starting quarterback for New England, unless Cam Newton just lights up the fucking NFL with this new Patriots offense. The chances, very low. And I'm a Cam Newton fan, obviously. I love Cam Newton. But you got an aged quarterback who's had fuck tons of serious injuries, lots of fucking surgeries. Is he going to be able to keep up with a young, fresh fucking Mac Jones? And then we all know Bill Belichick. He's all about earn the spot. Nothing's guaranteed. So if Mac Jones goes in there and fucking spring training and preseason and fucking lights it up, he may be starting week 1. And then you give that boy fucking goddamn Julio Jones? Shit. So he'll have Julio Jones, Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry. You might as well hang it up, because we're coming back with a fucking vengeance. So as we talk about people moving around and signings for this segment, the next one we're going to get into is Tebow, the man, Tebow, back in the NFL after a stint with Major League Baseball. You know what? I got to give it up to the guy. He's been able to stay with a career in sports and has continued to bring in a decent paycheck.
He also was on SEC Network. I mean, doing stuff for ESPN.
Yeah.
So with all of
Yeah,
that,
he was a college analyst for a while.
he's been consistent. His name has always been in the spotlight
Right.
since he got drafted.
Right. You can't hate on the guy for that. You know what? And you can't hate on him. I know everybody's pissed off that he just got back in the NFL and Colin Kaepernick hasn't. Colin Kaepernick fucking sucks. We talked about this. He had his time. He wanted to act like a goddamn fucking little crybaby and get his own little bullshit fucking media day and all that shit. So they fucking caved and gave him his little fucking media day. Then he wanted to cry again, be like, no, it's going to be on my shit. He went out there for a bunch of them. Nobody wanted him. Why? Because he sucks.
He also had a chance to sign with the Ravens. Then his girlfriend at the time posted some stuff, and that ruined the deal that he had. Like, the Ravens was the last offer that he had that he actually had a chance to play. So his girlfriend posted something online that went ahead and blew up. So it's like, okay, you want to go ahead and talk crap? Fine, we're not going to sign him. We're not going to do this. Even though he didn't say it, it still was tied to him. Nope, we're not going to have that. So sadly, his time's up in the NFL. Tim Tebow, they should have not should have. They've already talked to him before about switching up positions years ago in the league where he
didn't want to do it.
No, and he sees his opportunity now. Sadly, he couldn't make it in the MLB. And, I wanted to see him succeed. I like Tebow. He's a good guy. A lot of different things.
He did good. He did good in Major League Baseball. He just wasn't. He was like par.
Right.
He wasn't subpar. He wasn't amazing. He was just a decent. He was your average, decent player. So he played with the Mets. He played with a few other baseball teams. He did good. He had a decent batting average. He made plays. But I think he's more of a football player. And I think he should have been tied in from beginning because we were talking about this earlier. He's got the same build like Taysom Hill in New Orleans. I don't think Taysom Hill's a fucking quarterback. I think he'd make a great tight end. I don't know why they're big fucking bulky dudes. Sure, they can keep people off of them, but they're not really. He's built like a tight end. Tebow looks like a fucking tight end.
Yep.
He looked like a tight end back then.
Even Belichick tried to transfer him over to tight end when he brought him in for the Patriots.
Right.
He didn't want to do that, so they ended up dropping him because, hey, we're not bringing you in here really for a quarterback aspect. Look what he did with, one of your favorite players. Took it from being a quarterback and pushed over. Hey, yes, he did it in college too. They started doing that, but he's like, I'm not bringing you in to be a quarterback. I'm making sure you stay a wide receiver because you've got the build for it. You've got this. You're better at this position than quarterback.
Edelman.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking Edelman, college quarterback, Kent State, was a good quarterback, real good quarterback. But look at him; he had an amazing career as a fucking wide receiver. He had the second most touchdown in yards in NFL history in the playoffs behind Jerry Rice. Number 2 in playoffs. That's pretty impressive. And he was close to passing some of Jerry Rice's records. Very close. A lot of people say that Edelman isn't good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. But I'm like, yeah, he is.
Yes, he is.
But these guys got to understand, NFL is much different than college.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you are a great college QB, does not mean that you're going to be a great fucking QB in the NFL. If you get into the NFL, which is hard as fuck as it is, and they say, we're going to bring you in the NFL, but we want you to play this position instead of this, you better say, yes, sir, and get your ass out there and do it and think you're lucky stars you even made it into the fucking NFL. Because there's plenty of guys behind you that would change positions in a fucking heartbeat to play in the NFL. So I'm glad he came around. I'm glad he came around. I'm glad he got signed. And you know what? I think he'll make the team. I think he'll be a good tight end. I hope he gets a couple of years and goes out on a fucking high note. I really do. He's on a newly reformed Jacksonville Jaguars team. I'm pretty excited about seeing Jacksonville and seeing how they're going to do. Everybody knows that that's, if I had a second favorite team, it would be the Jacksonville Jaguars, just because I'm from that area. But you know what? I'm good. I'm a team, but I'm cheering for him. I definitely am. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I'm definitely cheering for him.
I'm rooting for him as well. Even look at Kurt Herb Street. Phenomenal quarterback in college, and the guy didn't really play anything in the NFL. That shows you college level, phenomenal quarterback. NFL just didn't pan out. He's a great broadcaster, but it just shows that a lot of times you could have the best wide receivers, the best running backs, and it just does not progress when you actually go to the different leagues, because the NFL is a much faster, harder hitting game. College is great, and yeah, those guys are out there playing because it's their last day. It could be their last day, so they're going to play a little bit tougher sometimes. But you get into the NFL, and these guys have been working out for 7 years officially. It's a lot different. So they're going to hit you harder. They're going to know what you're doing a lot better. So yeah, you're not going to show up and be like, "Oh, I was this great and I did this. I'm a Heisman Trophy winner." Cool. That means nothing when you reach the NFL, because they're going to eat you alive.
Right. And now our little last topic on this segment of people moving around. Of course, we've got the Deshaun Watson drama. So everybody's heard about the Deshaun Watson drama, all that stuff. Apparently, when this legal stuff gets let up, if it gets let up, if he doesn't get kicked out of the fucking league, they're going to give him his trade request. So he will not be in Houston once this is done. But there is a team that has emerged that has made an offer that Houston apparently is going to take. And this could change everything. If this happens and he does not get kicked out of the league, it looks like he will be going to Philadelphia, which means Jalen Hurts is not going to get his chance to fucking start.
Okay, so let me see this.
I see how mad you just... Holy shit. All right, let's go. I want to hear this. After that reaction, I want to hear this.
Well, this doesn't make any sense, though. If they're making a huge push for it, yes, they just drafted a quarterback, too, in this year's draft. So they're not saying that Jalen Hurts is the starter, number one. But after what he produced last year, the guy's showing hell of great skill and everything else. You're going to bring in Watson and do all this. I think that's too big of a chance to take. We don't know if he's going to be able to play. So fine. You know what? Bring him in, let him get banned from the league or whatever. Have them eat all that, and then let Houston actually get some picks. They're not going to get much for him right now. His stock level's dropped. But how can you do that to Jalen Hurts? I mean, he's done everything you've asked for him already. This is going to be a second year in it. You can finally actually see him be comfortable in your playbook, as long as it didn't change too much, because of different coaching staffs. But really, not a good option.
I would have thought he went somewhere else. Kayla, Deshaun Watson's got 21 sexual misconduct charges, 23 sexual misconduct charges from random fucking
masseuses and stuff.
Yeah, masseuses or whatever. Which we've talked about the conspiracy theories behind that. A lot of people seem to think it's that fucking what is he he's not the GM, because their GM is our old GM. What was he head of player personnel or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, he's been known for doing shady shit, but because it does fall weird that Deshaun Watson is unhappy with Houston. The drama takes place. He blames this guy for fucking shit up. He wants out of Houston. And then 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, boom, all these fucking sexual misconduct charges come up out of fucking thin air.
Yeah.
To me, it looks funny.
It does, but again, a couple here and there, okay, I can go ahead and say, you know what, this seems a little weird. But 21, 23 accounts, not every one of those is going to be, fishy. There's going to be a lot that are legit.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that, and I was listening to a podcast the other morning that was talking about this. All those masseuses that he's been to were also this guy's masseuses for years before him. If you go down the track record, these are all women that this guy was hanging out with and is associated with and has been associated with. He's also been known. Now, nothing has ever been proven, but it's been said that he's done shit like this before. Because remember, their last president was the female. He got pissed and made comments about a female shouldn't be that high up in an NFL office, and he pushed her out, and she left because of him. And he pulled a lot of shady shit, but unfortunately, it couldn't be proven, so he basically got away with it. I mean,
again, though, it's hard.
Deshaun did it okay, but I'm not going to hang a man. I'm all about I need the proof, and he's going to have his day in court. If he goes in there and there's substantial evidence and it comes out that he's guilty, all right, Deshaun Watson's a scumbag, kick him out of the NFL, but don't hang him before you have the proof. Because that makes us just as bad as the rest of the world when they hear one thing and they automatically jump on the fucking bandwagon. They're like, oh, yeah, that person's a fucking scumbag. They did this, 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 and this. Well, where's the proof? Well,
that's why I will say, total speculation on it because I don't have the full proof of anything. But again, when it first started, it was just a few accounts. I'm like, okay, this is a little weird, But then once it escalated to the numbers that it's at now, then there was reports of, hey, some people might have jumped on because they want to get paid. Okay, so you're going to have the select few that's in that group as well. But that still leaves too much consistency for numbers that's against them. There's just too much.
No evidence has come out. It's
not yet.
It's all hearsay.
Right,
and
it's not yet. We're not seeing the
months.
I understand that. And I'm not trying to hold everything against them. I just, until the final verdict, it's just, again, I don't like that there's so much writing already on the table. Even if we wipe out half of that.
I think it's bullshit. I think he's being set up.
It's a good chance of that. But why? Hold on. Let me ask you this, though. If somebody in the organization, okay, knows he wanted to get traded and all that, you would have got huge, draft capital by getting rid of him when he wanted to be traded. Now, with all of this controversy, Houston's not going to get shit. Right. They're really not going to get anything for him. Would you put yourself, even though your team's already fucked for years because of the past coach that you had / GM, trade away your major draft picks for a few years, you want to get that capital back. You want to set your team up for success. Would this person potentially screw his team over even more by doing that to Deshaun Watson? Because his draft capital for him goes so low that you might get a 4th round pick, you might get a 5th round pick or something. You're not going to get a huge stock like 1st or 2nd rounders like you were going to.
Yeah, because the guy's known for being a egomaniac. It's about the power. It's about the power that if he goes and tells this motherfucker, hey, you fuck with me and I'll ruin your career. Well, guess what? Snap, I ruined your career. He wants to prove himself right. He cares more about his reputation than he does the team. It's all about power.
If I was the owner of that team or running that guy would be gone.
Yeah, you should fire him.
Right, because you are putting my team more in jeopardy.
Right.
And going from no. I mean, it's too hard for me to sit there. It's been break everything down like I just did partially. Not everything, but it's so difficult to go ahead and say that this is the case. I'm going to be more patient. I'm going to wait and find out what the final details are of all these cases.
You would think that, but unfortunately with the NFL, if you look at it, most of these owners, they're not football guys. They were already billionaires who bought a team, and all it is another paycheck. They don't fucking care if that team wins or lose. They could give a shit less. They go on TV, we're going to win this year, and do a little smile for you, and they turn around and they're fucking counting their fucking paychecks from, ticket set. As long as there's ticket sales and there's T-shirts and jerseys being sold, most of those guys don't give a fuck.
I know.
They're businessmen. They're not sports guys. Half of them don't even know what the fuck they're watching when they're sitting in the goddamn booth. They're more worried about drinking cocktails and smoking cigars with their homies than they are what's going on in that field. So they hire guys to run it. And this guy, I can't remember his name, he runs the fucking Houston Texans. While the owner just sits there on his ass smoking his cigars and drinking his old fashions with his fucking buddies. He ain't got a clue. This motherfucker's so goddamn stupid, fucking they get intercepted. He's like, yeah, we're going to score a touchdown. No, the other team is. That's the big problem with some of the. Now you got some owners that are diehard football guys. There's a few teams out there where, like Robert Kraft from the Patriots, football guy.
Mm-hmm.
Always been a huge football fan. You got guys like fucking, several other ones that are out there. But like Jacksonville, Khan, he doesn't give a fuck.
No.
He gives two shits less about it. Arthur Blank, Atlanta, two shits fucking less about it. These guys were already fucking millionaires or billionaires prior to owning these teams. So, they don't give a fuck. And that's your problem in Houston is you got an owner that doesn't give a shit. And he hired people to run the team, and he's letting them do it whatever the fuck they want.
Same thing with Washington. You have the same.
Right. And George, you're right. Jerry Jones is another one of those that does not give a fuck. He was already a fucking millionaire. Mm-hmm. He doesn't give a fuck. All he likes to do is go on TV and show his ass.
Oh, absolutely. He makes his decisions. He acts like he knows what he's doing. And then everything else, yeah. Al Davis, he was a great one. His son's not bad. His son's not as bad as well.
Al Davis was a football guy.
Yep.
He knew all about football. He loved the game. But he's, like I said, he's one of those very few owners that were football guys. Now, he was still a businessman, but he was a football guy.
Right.
And that makes a big difference in an organization. And with Houston, you have shitty fucking leadership. Yep. You really do. And I think that's a huge problem for all of them.
Patrick Mahomes bought stock in the Royals, basically. He's part owner. He doesn't officially own the Royals, though.
Yeah. Unfortunately, with teams like that, you can go public and you can buy stock in a company. It's just like playing the stock market where you go buy one or two shares of this and one or two shares. I invest in the stock market. I have shares in different companies. It doesn't mean I'm the owner of the company. I just own shares of that company. It's an investment, and you can sell your shares at any time and be completely out.
Right.
So
with the NFL, really, there's only one owner in the NFL. They try to keep it as consistent as that, and the only team really that is not basically owned by one person is. Do you know who that is?
I wouldn't even know.
Green Bay Packers.
Really?
Stocks. Yeah, the Green Bay Packers, there's people that actually own the stocks in Green Bay and everything else. So they have a huge different thing with that. So it's not just your basic owner with that.
I did not know that. I did not know that. We're going to take a quick little commercial break by one of our sponsors, and we'll be back in about 30 seconds.
Welcome back to Will It Sanitize? Nope, but they do deliver.
So like we said earlier, Hellfire Radio will be getting their own coffee through Deadly Grounds. And as soon as that is available, of course, we'll be fucking shoving that down your throat to go buy that.
Absolutely.
And Scoop Submission too. Oh, Mandy, we like basketball too. I like basketball. I'm a Celtics fan when it comes to that though. But anyways, back onto it. So after the draft is now over. What is the one team? Actually, give me your top 3 teams that after the draft has happened, all the shifting and moving around has happened. What's your top 3 teams that you're most excited about watching play with all these new players and everything that's went on?
Of course, I'm gonna have to say the Bears. I think we got a good a great quarterback, I should say. I like the Patriots. I like the draft capital that they had, and they picked up Mac Jones. I don't know what's going wrong with my throat today. And then third, I mean, I want to say the Bengals because they picked up some good offensive linemen, good wide receiver, somebody that Joe Burrow's used to throwing to. That's awesome. But you also have the Jaguars did a good thing. Are they going to come up with it, though? It's hard to say. I want to say yes. I want to give them enough props on that. I just can't fully put my chips down on them yet. So I don't know. I can't really say who my third team would be. There's just so much that's open.
See, I got 2 guaranteed. I actually got 4, but 2 of them are tied in third.
Okay, go on.
So my first 2 automatically Patriots and Jaguars right off the bat. My third is a down split fucking tie with the Chargers and the Eagles. And now it's the Eagles if Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. That's I mean, right now it was easy for me to fucking go with that. Because, like, I want to see year 2 of Justin Herbert. Because towards the end of the year, now towards the first of the year with the Chargers, it was a little iffy.
Mm-hmm.
You had Tyrod Taylor in there for a few games, whatever, it went on. But then Justin Herbert come in there, and there was like teams he was just balling on. But unfortunately, the downfall for the Chargers was their defense. Their offense was putting up scores. I mean, he was putting up massive fucking points. In fantasy football, he finished top 5 quarterbacks in fantasy football.
Right.
But their defense couldn't stop a goddamn thing. I mean, they let the fucking Patriots run over them 47-17. But there's also teams like the Chargers damn near beat the Buccaneers. Buccaneers came back and won it, but it was like between the 2 teams, they scored like 90 points against each other. So to me, the Chargers were a lot like the Cleveland Browns because both of the offenses were fucking lit, but both of them had shit defenses. Cleveland's defense was just a tad bit better.
Yep.
Which is what got them initially into the playoffs. And the Chargers I think the Chargers fell like 2 games short of making it into the playoffs. Yep. But that's one of the teams. I think Justin Herbert towards the end of the year. I mean, he beat the Chiefs at the end of the year. That was 2 of their losses. I think they had a loss to the Raiders and they had a loss to the Chargers. That they went 14-2. That was their 2 losses. And Justin Herbert lit their asses up at the end of the year. And he was lighting a lot of teams up at the end of the year. A lot of their wins were late season wins because he was starting to get a hold of life in the NFL. Now that you got that, this could end up being another Josh Allen situation with Buffalo. Josh Allen's first year with Buffalo, they go, what was it? Fucking 6-10?
Mm-hmm.
Sucked. Lost to everybody. Last year, boom, he's got the reins. He's got a hold of the NFL. He knows the fucking playbook, 13-3.
Yep.
Damn near went to the fucking Super Bowl. I personally think they should have taken the Chiefs out and it should have been Buffalo in there. But that's me. And I hate Buffalo. So, but they deserved it. They were a badass team. I mean, they're even better this year. I think they just got Emmanuel Sanders. So now you got Stephon Diggs and Emmanuel Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
You got 2 deep threats with Josh Allen, who's got a fucking arm like a motherfucker.
Right. No, they're going to be up there in the running for this.
I think the Chargers are going to be another Buffalo Bills situation, and Justin Herbert's going to get a hold of it, and he's going to go out. He's going to ball. Now I really, 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 really want to see what the Eagles are going to do with Jalen Hurts.
I mean, you've got the Heisman Trophy winner sitting there is on the Eagles now. So you have Jalen Hurts throwing to a pass wide receiver that he's got. You've got a good team that's there. Another team that's, the Dolphins picked up a phenomenal wide receiver yet again, the teammate. So it was kind of interesting this year to see how three teams basically picked up wide receivers that, played with that past quarterbacks to try to get a little bit more consistency to go on that. Normally, we never see that. We don't see them picking up tight ends to play with the main quarterbacks that they're used to. But the league is changing so much nowadays. They want that consistency. Instead of having to build it this way, you already feel comfortable with that person, even if you're a year off.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see what that turns out to be. That might be the next MO of how the NFL is going to run. Are we going to see the main running backs go to teams where they're used to playing with those quarterbacks or this, or vice versa with the wide receivers, tight ends? Are we going to see more of that? Centers, offensive linemen, because they're used to that person being there. It's going to be an interesting thing. And folks, this year we go to just 3 preseason games and we start the 17-game league year. So we get one more game now this year that means something. This is going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot.
Now we go to 18 weeks.
Yeah.
Now this is also, from what I understand, this is also kind of leaning towards what's supposedly going to be happening before too long. Is we're going to see an expansion of each division getting one extra team, including international teams. Now, this isn't like set in stone. It is going to happen. The expansion teams are happening, but nobody really knows what cities are actually. It's not compact yet. I've seen the list of possibilities. There are 2 cities in the United States that are solid, that are getting teams. So what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to do 4 new teams in the U.S. and then 4 international teams. It looks like the cities that are in lead for those international teams is Mexico City, Frankfurt, Germany, London, and Ontario, Canada. That looks like that's the 4, kind of top runners for those international spots. I know at one time they were talking about moving Jacksonville Jaguars to London and being that London team and then recreating a new team in Jacksonville. I don't know if that still could happen because London has a massive Jacksonville Jaguars fucking fan base. Why? I don't know. But it's the number 1 team in London. Number 2 is actually the Patriots, but number 1 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your U.S. cities, the 2 cities that apparently are guaranteed to get a team, Omaha, Nebraska, and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, are supposedly the 2 that are stacked. Now, 2 that are talking about, there's a couple of cities that they were talking about getting Oakland was talking about getting a team back in Oakland, El Paso, Texas, and St. Louis. Because St. Louis and Oakland, obviously, there's already fucking stadiums there.
Right.
El Paso is the only one that would have to be built, unless they already built one. I honestly don't know. I mean, they could have. So that's kind of what's being looked at right now. But they're saying that is kind of one of the things that led to them adding an extra week on. I don't know how that would really play into it, but, it is what it is. But I think it'd be cool to add some teams. You don't want to go too big. I feel like after they do this expansion and you got 5 teams per each division, I think you should just shut it down at that. You have 40 teams. Shut it down at that. You got enough. Because you don't want too much.
No.
You definitely don't want too much. And
especially with stuff you might have to keep like they did last year with opening up the wild card, so you have a little bit more going to it. So it's going to be all that.
Right. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I think there will be a lot of good stuff going on with all that. So next up, this will be our final little segment. What is your top 3 players that you want to see that just came out of the draft that you're most excited about seeing play? So we talked about teams. Now we're down to individual players from the draft.
Well, since all this is off the top of our heads, I mean, I want to see how Waddle does, after healing up and everything else from being hurt from college football last year.
Oh, Miami.
Yeah, I want to see how he does. Of course, I want to see, his buddy that's playing for the Eagles, Heisman Trophy winner. I want to see how he does. And I hate to be like that because it's all Alabama players. I want to see Mac Jones too. I want to see him succeed because there's so many people, even my boss at work talks to me and says, he's the AJ McCarron 2.0. And I'm like, he's coming out strong. He's healthy. He's got the opportunity. I want to see him succeed. So
Right.
I'm gonna slide in all Alabama players, just as a thing. But I want to see Justin Fields do good too. I want to see Trevor Lawrence do good. There's so many things, but if I'm going to be doing that, I want to see that like 2 of the top wide receivers that got drafted. I want to see how they play out in 2 different teams, with past quarterbacks that they've played with. And I want to see how Mac Jones goes into New England and see when he can start and see how he takes over that team and succeeds. Right. I'm hoping for him to succeed well. If I'm eliminating those 3 and just staying away from Alabama players, then yeah, Trevor Lawrence, I want to see do good. I wonder if he's going to be to the top caliber or, I don't know. There's the wide receiver that got drafted by the Bengals. He's playing with Joe Burrow again.
I think that's what Jamar.
Yeah.
I think it's was it Chase? Is it Jamar Chase?
I can't remember for sure, and I don't have it pulled up right now, of course.
I could pull it up.
But, that's number 2. And then the third one, how's San Francisco going to do with this new?
I was right. It's Jamar Chase.
Cool. So I'll go 2 quarterbacks and 1 wide receiver, that aspect, and I'll just eliminate my fandom of Alabama.
So that's what I'm going to do. And my 3 are right off the rip. I don't even have to really think about it. It's going to be Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, and Jamar Chase.
Okay.
And Jamar Chase actually might be number 1. And the only reason I say that is because they actually gave the Cincinnati Bengals an F rating for drafting him in the first round. Because they're saying that Jamar Chase is not a first round or even a second round caliber wide receiver. Why? I don't know, but that's what was being said. And they're saying that there was by far better wide receivers that were up at that point than Jamar Chase. And I've even seen some analysts compare him to N'Keal Harry in New England.
Right.
Remember, N'Keal Harry was a big bust for us. Big, huge, giant shit, because we could have had, and at the time when we drafted N'Keal Harry, DK Metcalf was still on the fucking board. AJ Brown was still on the fucking board. Major fucking Hollywood Brown was still on the fucking board. We could have had any 3 of those in New England, and we chose goddamn fucking N'Keal Harry, who can't finish a goddamn route to save his goddamn life, much less touch a fucking football.
Well, here's the thing on this. He backed out of last year because of the whole COVID everything. So
no, he played last year.
He partially backed out. He wasn't the full thing, but you're right. He played, but he wasn't a full starter.
No.
And he went ahead. The best year that he had was with Joe Burrow the year before. So because he wasn't at the full thing like everybody else, they didn't give him the full grade of it. But when he did play with Joe Burrow, yes, a different time, different league, different aspect because it was college and not professional. He lit up the board. He was consistent with them. So that's why they felt comfortable going through all of that. So it makes sense. I'm going to answer a couple questions here on the chat. So the Blue Bombers is actually a Canadian professional team. It's not the NFL, but it is still a professional team. And then, yes, we do play fantasy football. and we have our own little Hellfire fantasy football league that we play.
Yes. So on that, we have actually ran out of time, but we are going to play a quick commercial break, have a few last little minute thoughts, and then we'll be out. So for you guys that don't know, us here at Hellfire will be having our own festival August 13th of 2022, not this year, next year. So I'm going to roll that commercial afterwards. I will put up a flyer. If you want to buy tickets, get your cell phones out now. And at the end, you'll be able to scan a code on your screen that'll take you right to the ticket section. So here we go with that little commercial. So that will be Slaughterfest. We actually just booked some more people, but those announcements will not be until later on this week. So we got two other, but we've got about 8 or 9 more bands that we'll be announcing. So if you guys have your phones out, this would now be the time. Here it is. Scan that QR code right there, and it will take you right to the tickets. You can buy VIP tickets or early bird tickets. We will keep the early bird sales through August. Once August 1st hits, the early bird tickets will be gone, and it will go to full price. There is not very many VIP tickets left, so if you want VIP, now would be the time to buy those.
Plus, you get to see all the other, Hellfire staff. You get to, potentially meet Scoops of Mischief, which is stellar.
Right. And by the way, thank you, Lance, for your comment. That's fucking hilarious. We appreciate you. And that's not being sarcastic. Anyways, we're going to get the fuck out of here today. We'll be back next. Well, no, I will not be back next Sunday. Hellfire will. I will not.
I'll try to find somebody to fill you in.
Yeah, I will be on tour. So for those of you that want to see Scoops of Mischief, next weekend we will be in Louisville, Kentucky for the Villain Arts Tattoo Expo. The weekend after that, we will be in Houston, Texas for the Houston, Texas Villain Arts Tattoo Expo. And after that, we will be in Sioux City, Iowa for a few days doing a photo shoot, and we will probably do some meet and greets. So If you are around Louisville, Kentucky, Houston, Texas, or Sioux City, Iowa, be looking out for those posts on Scoops and Mischief. So, we are done here. We love you guys. Have a good day.
When I'm screaming, fuck you. Middle finger in the air, but no one wanted to hear what you screaming. Fuck you too. I'm running the stratosphere in a brand new atmosphere. I wanna go and shoot till the campus clear, cause I never thought I would've made it out of here alive. From the land where the people put the evil and night ride. You'll never see an equal to my kind, so blind to anything to line the life to mind is right now. Looking for another mind to fight foul, bringing everything that you can bring down on the ground like 150 pounds of C4, looking for keyboard thugs. Well, I'ma need more slugs, cause I wanna see more blood. You ain't never seen gold like us. They don't wanna make them any more like us. Put them on tour with the paint on them, and anybody can know your little lane song. Fuck right, I'ma stay wrong. Black out with a ray gun, looking for anybody to make up. Motherfuckers really need to wake up. There's nothing really you can say. It's never gonna change my mind. I'm on some fuck that shit today. Fuck it, I don't care. Middle fingers in the air. Only careless up in here. Only careless up in here. Fuck it, I don't care. Middle fingers in the air. Only careless up in here. Only careless up in here.
Fuck that! I said fuck this shit. I was born a son of a bitch and always talk a whole gang of shit. Even know that I wouldn't work with. Now till I became a bastard. Whole world revel in the wake of my dad's disaster. Had to talk to a pastor. Told me sit down, handle my shit, and try to figure out what the fuck's really the matter. Ain't animosity, only big ass wicked is the last. I'm victim from your own personal promises. I never know peace is an emphasis. Therefore, cover up